Good. Okay. Today we're doing what I believe Elon Musk uh, called raw dogging it. Today was hard. So I'm just doing a media share stream because I did want to stream. I love streaming. But I couldn't earlier, and I wanted to do something small that wasn't a game that I got sucked into. So this seemed appropriate. Uh, so yeah, I'm not sure what to start out with, uh, like at all, because I didn't exactly plan this. So I guess at first I'll just find a few videos, and if anyone wants me to react to something, they'll do the media share thing. Ooh, that didn't sound good. Testing. 1, 2. Every once in a while, I hear like this snap in my ear uh, from my headphones. Oh, this dude. Okay, so this guy, he makes videos. Like so and so did this. This is how his intestines stopped working, and he got brain necrosis. Um, uh, God, Tubby Emu, please don't copyright strike me, please.
A man,
Oh, what the hell?
a man,
What? What in God's name?
a man drank
Did he just upload that or something? No, no.
12 energy drinks in 10 minutes. This is what happened to his
Am I back?
organs.
I hope I'm back. Yep, even the stream is going to shit. Today really sucks.
JS is a 36-year-old
You've got to be kidding me.
man presenting to the
What in blue hell is going on? Um, okay, that I expected. Huh. Oh, look, it's me. Ah, crap, where'd it go? Is it... Yeah, why am I getting interruptions? Really, you're blaming it on people using HD streams? That's silly. Comcast, upgrade your shit. Let's try another video. I, I have a suspicion. Maybe it's the way that video is encoded. Let's see, what's... Oh, it's Mudahar. I love harassing him.
There are two secrets I have in life.
Nope, it is every video. Shit. Only what let me watch my own video and its source. Is something downloading something? I'm sorry. This should not be happening during the stream, especially. Network. Okay, it's using zero network. Well, almost no network. This is frustrating. Well, I guess this can become a troubleshooting stream. Let's check our ISP speed test. Okay, yeah, as you can see, download speed is killer. It's pretty good. Upload speed is going to seem low because I'm using like 4 megabits. So the internet is fine. What else could be the problem? Give me a sec. Thinking. It's causing me to like freeze in place. I can't do basic body functions and think at the same time. I end up freezing apparently. Okay, let's see. Speed test to YouTube. It should ping me to YouTube servers. Okay, this one does not do that. Try this. Okay, I guess I can't. That's lame. Actually, this might work because Google runs the YouTube servers too. Okay, so that's not the problem.
You can literally die from a broken heart. It's called broken heart syndrome, and if that
And
wasn't
now it's
depressing
fine.
enough for you, if you're a
Now it's fine. Of course. All right, let's go back to that one.
A man drank 12 energy drinks in 10 minutes. This is what happened to his organs. JS is a 36-year-old man presenting to
These videos are really cool because it's always like, this guy did this insignificant thing. This is how his internal organs imploded. And he got blood toxicity, and his brain just started killing off neurons one by one. And then he shat himself and died.
the emergency room with breakthrough abdominal pain. He tries to tell the admitting nurse what was happening, but he had to grip the armrests of his chair to stop himself from emptying his stomach onto her shoes again. You see, JS was a man living the dream. When he was growing up in the 80s, he was always around video games. His parents liked playing them, but JS didn't have friends who played video games.
I feel called out. Chubby Emu, you're a dick.
Because he really didn't have any friends at all. When he was 14 in 1998, Pokemon had just come out. Some of the Pokemon in Red.
Okay, I did not look like that. I wonder if I can find it. Come on, open my folder thingy. There we go. I found a picture of me the other day when I was in high school. I know it's here because I sent it to someone like, LOL, I look goofy as fuck. Where'd it go? Oh, I'm in documents, not downloads. No wonder. Okay. Like, you can tell what time period is it? Oh well, I'll just keep going with this until I find it.
Had if players traded with each other on their Game Boys, but because JS didn't have any friends, he could never make the trades needed to get those Pokemon. As
Them
the years
feels.
passed, what JS didn't have as a kid, he tried as hard as he could to have as an adult. If he couldn't have Gengar when he was young, that's a Pokemon that required a trade to get, then JS had a lot of Gengar as an adult. If there were games and movies that he didn't have as a kid, he
My
had them as
dude. Dude, I feel like so mature now.
an adult. But
Holy shit.
These were material things. If he didn't have friends and recognition as a kid, then he tried as hard as he could to get them as an adult. One day at his workplace, JS thought it would be funny to chug some
That is a thing. I didn't have a computer as a teenager. Well, I mean, I did. I had a Commodore and a VIC-20, and those were already like a decade old or so. But I would use them to dial up BBSs before the internet was like a big thing. They were still making the American Online CDs, or just starting to. Oh my god, I just aged myself.
energy drinks. The admin loved to stock them in the fridge, and the company always touted the drinks as a wonderful benefit for a great place to work. At the table now, JS wanted to put on a show. He was going to chug 12 energy drinks in 10 minutes, and it was going to be legendary. At first, it felt cold on the way down. He could feel the burn at the back of his throat, but as the
This
can
is the
continued,
worst
the burn
idea
started to
ever.
become discomfort as it felt like sores were growing and tearing up his mouth. Immediately after chugging all 12 energy drinks, JS didn't feel well. The bottom of his
I can only handle like 2 of those a day. What the hell, my dude?
chest was burning. He wasn't sure if it was his stomach or his heart hurting. He was short of breath, and to take his mind off of everything, he started playing some games. As the hours passed, JS could feel his heart fluttering. But this shouldn't be happening, he thought. For him, caffeine never really had much of an effect, even if the
Caffeine is caffeine. You still don't drink massive amounts of it to compensate. What was he even trying to compensate for? What?
max daily recommendation is 400 milligrams a day. JS easily pushed 7, 8, 900 milligrams during LAN parties and weekend gaming marathons. I must just have good genetics to break down caffeine quickly, he thought. What started as a discomfort at the bottom of his chest started radiating out to his back, in between his
This guy's heart has to be like the nom veteran of hearts, because it's seen some shit.
shoulder blades. JS knew that he was wired. He could feel it all throughout the night while he was playing games and watching his friends stream. He thought taking a small
I have caught you. I have caught you. You said you didn't have friends. Ah, but yet you're watching your friends stream, so you do.
shot of some other drink could help relieve some of his pain. But problems started happening when JS emptied his stomach into the kitchen sink. He had been feeling nauseous for several hours.
Do that.
After letting it all
Just don't
go
show
in the
us.
sink, he started feeling even worse. He could feel his heart beating in his eyes. The back pain would just burn underneath his neck, and the pain in his stomach would come in waves, each one more intense than the last. Anytime he tried drinking
That sounds like Crohn's. Because that's what that feels like.
some water, that water would come right back up. JS tried holding out for at least a day because he believed that none of this could have been the energy drinks. Those should have already passed through his body, so it must be something else.
What?
But finally,
God's
JS
name?
couldn't eat anymore. He couldn't drink anything anymore, and the pain was so sharp and burning as he calls for 911, and he's brought to the emergency room where we are now. Doctors noticed that JS was nauseous. He had already thrown up on the nurse's shoes. His breathing was stressed, and he said that his abdominal pain would radiate to his back, like someone had taken a crowbar and started prying it apart. A blood test finds that JS has hyperglycemia. Hyper meaning high, glyce referring to glucose, another name for sugar, and emia meaning presence in blood. High sugar presence in blood. Each can that JS drank had more than 50 grams of sugar. 12 cans means that he chugged over 1 pound of sugar in 10 minutes, so hyperglycemia should make sense. But the problem is, he chugged those energy drinks more than a day ago. He hadn't eaten anything afterwards because his abdomen just hurt so much. And the body typically tries to get rid of excess blood sugar as quickly as possible, so sugar shouldn't be high in his blood. The pancreas releases insulin to lower blood sugar. JS has abdominal pain and the pancreas is in the abdomen. There could be a problem with his pancreas. Maybe it's not releasing insulin. Maybe something is...
Yeah, he's killed his pancreas with energy drinks. See, your mom was right. Stop drinking them.
blocking it from releasing that insulin, or maybe it is releasing it and his body isn't responding to that insulin. This could mean that JS has diabetes, but that isn't in his medical record, and another test of his long-term blood sugar levels suggests he had pre-diabetes. But doctors have a different idea of what could be happening. In the emergency room, doctors use an ultrasound machine to get an idea of what's happening to
He's gonna
JS's
have a baby.
pancreas. Maybe a gallstone is blocking it, backing up flow and causing problems, but they didn't see anything there. As they sent him in for a higher resolution scan, more results come back from the lab. JS has hyperlipasemia, high lipase presence in blood. Lip from Greek lipos, referring to lipids or fats, and ase referring to enzyme. High fat-degrading enzyme presence in blood. Lipase comes from the pancreas. It helps us digest the fats that we eat from our diet. If its levels are high in the blood, then it means that the pancreas is leaking it out. And if it digests fat, and the pancreas is partially made of fat, then it means that JS's pancreas is starting to digest itself. The abdominal pain radiating to his back, the nonstop nausea and vomiting, the inability to keep anything down, and the hyperlipasemia. All of these together, meaning that JS has acute pancreatitis. Itis meaning an inflammation of the pancreas because something happened to it, enzymes started leaking out of it, and it's now starting to digest itself. Acute, meaning that all of this is happening suddenly.
Does anyone ever watch something like this and become super aware of where their organs are? I swear, every time I watch something like this, I start feeling where my organs are in it. It's gooey. It's gooey. Feels gooey inside. Ugh.
And the medical team wants to know why. In the emergency room, doctors don't know that JS had chugged 12 energy drinks in 10 minutes. He didn't tell them that. What doctors do ask him is if JS consumes a lot of alcohol. Because he's young, excess alcohol may not have permanently damaged the liver yet. That takes some time. But it can hurt the pancreas suddenly. It's the second most common reason for pancreatitis after gallstones, which the ultrasound showed JS didn't have. JS did say that he did have one shot of liquor after the pain had started. They took his word for it, but they were suspicious, thinking that it may have been more than just a shot. But the reality was he...
Also, if you're on a lot of medications, like, your liver, like, part of it might harden. And you have to get that treated later in life. It's kind of scary, because I'm speaking from personal experience.
He took that shot several hours after the pain had already become severe, and doctors just had no idea about the 12 energy drinks. JS was started on IV fluids. He was dehydrated.
It's like he was trying to make one of those, what's that one mixed drink where you have like a Red Bull, and that stuff with Jägermeister, that's it. It's like he was trying to make that, but inside him.
Hydrated because he couldn't keep any water down. They give him medicines for the pain because it's so excruciating, and everything seemed to be okay, but only for a short time. When body parts appear to be damaged, the immune system reacts. This is to protect you. The problem is, sometimes the immune system overreacts, and it does that overreaction when it shouldn't be reacting in the first place. JS's pancreas digesting itself is body part damage, so the immune system is there trying to protect him from that damage. But when inflammation, pancreatitis, happens, the area can start to swell with fluid, and in JS, where his pancreas was supposed to be, is starting to swell with fluid.
Oh,
Typically,
Jesus.
in a 36-year-old man with no diagnosed past medical history, this kind of pancreatitis resolves itself. The medical team elects to watch and wait because even though his abdomen is swelling with fluid, doing surgery and cutting him open could be doing more harm than good. Even if the image looks scary, the body has a way of healing itself, and as a few days pass, things seem to be holding steady. JS probably didn't need to have surgery, and he's probably ready to go home, they thought. As the medical team gets ready to discharge him from the hospital, everything seems to be going smoothly. But as the hours pass, JS starts to get chills. He starts running a fever.
Someone called Dr. House.
Starts to drop. His heart is trying to keep up by pumping harder and faster, but it's not enough. Another CT scan finds that gas is now in the space where the fluid was swelling. The stomach and the intestines have some air in them, but they're usually closed off so their contents don't leak into the abdomen. So, if JS's stomach isn't punctured, then where can this gas be coming from?
Ah, crap. What's that one musical instrument that's like a bag and it's got a whole bunch of little horns on it? Scottish people? Shit. Can't mind brain right now. It's too hard. Oh, what's it called? They play it at funerals. Screw it. I can't remember. I must have purged the data.
A blood test finds that not only are JS's liver and kidney starting to shut down now, but that he now has an infection. If bacteria and fungus floating around in the abdomen outside of the stomach can produce gas, then it means that fluid buildup from his inflamed pancreas is now infected. But it doesn't just stop there. Whatever is infecting him has now spilled into his bloodstream. The immune system detects this.
If you drink a lot of like soda, energy drinks, eat a lot of candy, you can actually get this. It's basically a fungus. It's actually a kind of yeast that will form in the stomach. It'll go into your blood and settle on the skin, and you'll get like little spots. Like if you took your fingernail to them, it would basically scrape the top off of them, and they'd get like wet from like gross stuff. But yeah, if you eat a lot of candy and stuff, you can actually like get that, and it doesn't go away. Once you have it, you have to keep using stuff like Selsun Blue to like get rid of that dead layer of skin, and something else the doctor has to prescribe to like make them go away temporarily.
And tries to react again by dilating the body's blood vessels, but this drops the blood pressure. Adequate oxygen can't get to the organs like the liver and the kidney.
Ooh, wait! I just thought of something. So if you can grow fungus on the skin, does that mean you're becoming like one of the toads from the Mushroom Kingdom? If you get that, are you gonna start going, Mario? Wah!
As
Okay.
they start to shut down. JS comes in and out of consciousness as limited oxygen gets to his brain. All of this happening from pancreatitis in JS that came from chugging excess energy drinks as he finally utters to the medical team what happened. But why did this happen? Good.
That is what peak performance looks like. You may not like it, but this is peak gamer performance.
What happened? But
Look at him so
why
proud of
did this
himself.
happen? Good question. Generally, most people know that energy drinks can be dangerous when consumed in huge excess. If you have one once in a while and you're young and healthy,
Oh, dude,
it's
I want that
probably not a
mug.
big deal. But if you start chugging multiple cans back to back, then bad things are probably going to happen. Most people immediately think of the caffeine content. Each can that JS drank had 160 milligrams of caffeine, so 2 cans can get you very close to that recommended daily limit. Too much caffeine can make you wired, make your heart race, your breathing will become fast, it'll make you shaky and jumpy, and in some people, lots of caffeine will feel like a panic attack. This energy drink cardiotoxicity has been documented. Check out this video from my cardiologist friend MedLife Crisis, link in the description below. Energy drinks are more
That's a
than
good
just
name.
caffeine, and we
That
don't
is a
exactly
good name.
know how much of any one of these ingredients are in a single can. No one intended for someone to chug 5.5 liters of anything in 10 minutes. What we do know is that there might be an association with excess energy drink consumption and pancreatitis. It's not just the caffeine and the stimulants in there that'll get you in your heart. Whether it's chugging 12 cans in 10 minutes or drinking 3, 4, 5, 6 cans a day every day, the pancreas can get injured. We can't experiment on people in this setting because we can't give everyone huge amounts of energy drink until their pancreas starts digesting itself. And of the people who do drink 6 cans a day, we can't cut them open and look at their pancreas at any given time because it's buried so deep inside the human body. For JS, this became a wake-up call for him for his health. He didn't have diabetes, but the blood test said pre-diabetes. He didn't have hypertriglyceridemia, which can come from diabetes and cause pancreatitis. But the lesson is, pancreatitis can spiral out of control very quickly, even when the patient looks great and ready to go home, just like JS. He was holding steady until his organs just...
that graphic, that's not appealing. Like, I can feel it with my eyes. Ugh, that texture.
suddenly shut down because the inflammation got infected and spilled into his blood. With supportive care and antibiotics, a diligent medical team, and a renewed sense of life, realizing that he had everything that he could ever want, JS was able to make a recovery. If you're interested in the presenting to the emergency room mug or other chubby emu merch, link to my store is in the description below. Thanks so much
I
for
want the
watching.
mug.
Take care of yourself and be well.
I want the mug. Wait, what is it going to send me to next?
Or other chubby emu merch, link to my store is in the
Oh, there
description
it is.
below. Thanks so much for watching.
About 2 years ago, I became convinced that there was a way to turn cotton balls into edible and hopefully tasty cotton candy. At
What?
first, this idea seemed a bit ridiculous, but I knew that it should have been possible. This is because cotton, even though it doesn't seem like it at all, is technically entirely sugar. The only problem is that all this sugar, or more specifically glucose, is trapped in something called cellulose. As cellulose, it acts like a completely different material, and we can use it to make things like cotton balls and clothing. At its core, though, it's all just sugar. So,
It's
what I dreamed
alchemy.
of doing was breaking down cotton balls back into sugar and
It's
then
alchemy.
turning them into candy. I didn't just want to make any candy, though, and I specifically wanted to make cotton candy. I wanted to make
Ah, you
literal
show off.
cotton candy. To get started, the first thing that I had to do was figure out how to even do it. I had to come up with a way to break down the cellulose. back
Wait, what
into
did he type
sugar
in?
Candy. Even do it. I had
Right here.
to get started, the first thing that I had to do
How do I turn cotton balls into candy for a YouTube video?
was figure out how to even do it. I had to come up with a way to break down the cellulose back into sugar, and my first idea was to use an enzyme. This was because I had already used an enzyme for another project where I turned toilet paper into drinkable alcohol, and it had worked really well. For that one, I used an enzyme called
That was weird
cellulase,
too.
and I was able to break down the toilet paper, which is also entirely cellulose. This gave me a solution of sugar, which I fermented to alcohol using yeast, and then I distilled it to make my toilet paper moonshine. The whole process ended up being surprisingly efficient,
Toilet paper
and I
moonshine.
figured it was the best place to start. The only issue was that the enzyme I'd used wasn't pure.
I love how these people just like label everything like crap, let me think of something. Yes. It is nose fruit I have picked with my very own index finger. We shall put it on a slide and label it nose fruit. You know, like that.
And it was mixed with maltodextrin and cornstarch. Both of these were sugars, but they weren't fermentable by yeast, so none of it turned into alcohol, and they didn't at all interfere with that project. However, for this one, I couldn't have any extra sugar floating around. It would be almost impossible to separate it from the sugar that I made, and it would just be a huge mess. I had to find somewhere to buy the pure enzyme, and the easiest and cheapest source seemed to be Alibaba. It was pretty easy to go on, find a listing, and order the enzyme, but actually getting what I wanted turned out to be a huge pain. The
Yeah.
first and biggest problem was that I never knew if it was actually going to be sugar-free. I always asked, and they would confirm that it was, but it
Because you're ordering from Alibaba, like they'll tell you anything to get you to buy whatever.
never seemed fully
Do these condoms actually prevent pregnancy? Yes, they prevent pregnancy well. And then you go to use them and they've got holes in them and you're like, well, shit.
believable. Also, the Canadian government kept seizing the packages and holding them for months. This one, by far, had to be the worst one that I got.
Oh.
Customs had apparently torn it open and repackaged it by just throwing it into a loose plastic bag. It was also brown, which immediately told me that it wasn't very pure, and I could tell there was sugar in it because it was sticky when I touched it. It took
Oh,
months, but I eventually got one that seemed decent, and it of course arrived as ginseng extract. It was an off-white, but still pure powder, and it didn't seem to have any fillers or sugars. When I tried it on the cotton, though, it just didn't work very well. I think the enzyme itself was good quality, and the cotton was just really stubborn. I knew that it would be a bit harder to break down than toilet paper, but I didn't expect it to be as bad as it was. I was never really...
dude, you're turning cotton into an edible product. It's going to be difficult.
able to do it, and after trying for a while, I basically gave up.
Good.
About a year later, though,
You should.
I got really inspired for some reason, and I decided to attempt this project again. I read every single book, article, or paper that I could find, and
You gotta give it to him. This guy goes all out on, like, if he wants to make something work, he's gonna make it work.
slowly put something together. My biggest challenge was that I didn't want to have to use any specialized equipment or weird chemicals, and I wanted it to be as simple as possible. I also ideally wanted the sugar that I made to taste good, or at the very least, not poison me. After about a week, I ended up coming up with something that I thought could work. Instead of using enzyme to break down the cotton, I would just use acid, and the process seemed to be surprisingly simple. So I decided to just jump right into it, and I picked up an entire bag of cotton balls. I went with the large ones, just because I felt like it.
An entire bag.
A lot, but it
Not like half a bag, because you can buy half a bag, apparently. You know, you have to... He bought an entire bag.
was only about 77 grams. Now, the next main ingredient that I needed was some 98% concentrated sulfuric acid. For all this cotton, I calculated that I needed 230 grams of it.
That's
and I
not gonna
poured it
be safe to
directly
eat.
onto 70 grams of ice. This almost immediately caused most of the ice to melt,
Thick,
and when it was
not
all added,
stirred.
I turned on the stirring. What I was doing here was just diluting the sulfuric acid.
Ah, he stirred it. He ruined it.
And
James
bringing the
Bond won't drink it
concentration
now.
Down from 98% to 75. I also used ice to do this because it generated a lot of heat, and the whole solution was now probably around 60 C or 140 Fahrenheit. If I'd used regular
Ooh, it's
water
got the
instead of ice,
vapors.
it probably would have violently boiled and splashed, which wouldn't have been ideal. But anyway, when it looked like it was all mixed, I turned off the stirring, and I let it cool down to room temperature. About 30
Like
minutes
my girlfriend
later, it
after
was
an
good to go,
argument.
and I pulled out the stir bar. It was now time to add the cotton, and I started with just one ball. I then poked it around a bit, and it almost immediately started falling apart. In
Yes,
general,
you can put
cotton
two
is
balls
usually
in
pretty
now.
tough, and I thought that it was interesting to see it just disintegrate. It only took a minute for it to become a little gooey blob,
Masochist.
and I felt that I was ready to add the rest. So, I carefully loaded in a small handful, and it looked like it was barely gonna fit. At first, this was a bit concerning, because this was only a small fraction of what I had to add. With just a bit of poking around and stirring, though, it slowly disappeared into the acid.
Because it's absorbent. Ew, it's all gooey. Gooey.
I then continued adding the rest of the cotton, and I was honestly a bit worried that it wasn't going to be able to eat the whole bag. Now, as far as I know, there was no major reaction going on here, and the cotton was just getting dissolved. I wasn't able to find much info about it, but it seems like the sulfuric acid was probably just interacting with the cellulose. It was forming a complex around their hydroxyl groups, which
Look, it's American. It's red, white, blue.
normally help the fibers stay tightly packed together. This was causing them to separate and fall apart and dissolve into the acid. It really didn't seem like it was going to work, but I was able to fit the whole bag. Now at this point, things were looking pretty good, but to fully dissolve the cotton, I had to warm it up a bit. So I dropped it into a hot water bath at
It
50
looks
C,
like
and I let it sit there
An
for 30
Englishman
minutes.
tried to make coffee.
When it was done, it looked like all the cotton had disappeared, and I pulled it out of the bath. I then poured it into 456 milliliters of
Lancet,
boiling
what?
hot water. This diluted the acid even
What have you
more,
done?
and it brought it down from the 75% that I had before to 27%. I then washed out the beaker with a bit of water to make sure that I transferred
Meep, meep.
everything.
Meep, 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 meep. That's speaker, right? Beep, 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 beep. This PC helps stream, right? What? You pooped in your PC and now it smells like poop. Why did you poop in your PC? Why are you going around pooping in electrical products? You shouldn't do that. There's a place you poop. And in the wild, it's anywhere, but in a house, it is your toilet, not your computer. I don't know how you how the memo you got on this was misprinted. But no, not in your PC, in the toilet. I'm so sorry. Scattered upon your computer device. No pooping in my PC.
And I added a thermometer. I now had to keep this at 85°C, and even though it did...
Also, I like showing this off, because I'm like this much of a nerd. You see that RAM number there? Right here. It's 128 gigabytes of RAM stuff. Why did I do that? I don't know, but I did. It makes encoding videos a lot easier. Not that I really do that other than the streaming.
didn't look like much was happening, it was the most important step. In the other...
Oh, if my boss sends me something to encode.
one, the cotton had just been dissolved, but here, it was actually getting chopped up. The long cellulose fibers were being attacked by the acid and water, and they were breaking the bonds between the sugar units. This type of reaction is called a hydrolysis.
It sounded like he just described an RTS. 128 gigabits. Oh, 128 gigabits. Because she's Kitty, and where she isn't supposed to be is where she's supposed to be.
Reaction, and they were breaking it down.
That's how kitties work. It's in the instruction manual.
Into smaller and smaller pieces.
Just like you having to insert the 3 AAA batteries into its battery hole. So they have energy.
I had to keep it running like this for 2 hours, and in that time, it should fully break down into glucose. When it was done, it looked about the same, and I poured all of this into an even larger beaker. This one was surrounded...
See, it totally looks like an Englishman tried to make coffee.
with ice to help cool things down, but it was still gonna take a while. So, in the meantime, I prepared something else that I needed. I went and got some of my food-grade calcium carbonate, which is basically just chalk. I would be using this to neutralize all the sulfuric acid, but I couldn't just throw it in as a powder. I had to make it into a slurry, and based on my calculations, I needed about 245 grams. So I measured that out, and added 125 mils of water.
Much bubble.
I then stirred it around, and after a few minutes, it was good to go.
Congratulations, you just made
When everything
Malox.
eventually cooled down to around room temperature, I started adding the goopy chalk.
Ooh.
It reacted almost immediately with the sulfuric acid, and it was
I'm sorry, that looks like an Englishman tried to make coffee.
releasing a lot of CO2 gas. This was all being generated as the acid was being neutralized, and the acid itself was turning into calcium sulfate. The only problem was that I had to add the chalk in small amounts, or else it would bubble out of the beaker. This was a very slow process, and it was
I don't want to be a slurry.
until it eventually got a bit too thick. This happened because the calcium sulfate was practically insoluble in water, and it was all separating out. So to fix this, I occasionally added some extra water to loosen things up, and it seemed to help. I also added some more water to the chalk, and I slowly added the rest of it.
You
At some
know,
point,
that
it
that
really
is
started looking way too
actually
much like
correct.
iced coffee, and it was a bit
See,
scary
we
how much
get
I wanted
deep
to taste it. That would have been a
on
horrible
Noctis
idea, though,
Room.
and it would have tasted absolutely awful. But anyway, I was eventually done adding the chalk, and when I tested the pH, it
Question
told me
the
that it was
great
roughly
philosophies
neutral.
of life.
What I had now was hopefully a mixture of calcium sulfate and dirty sugar water, and the next step was to filter it.
Oh, this isn't gonna
I
go
poured in
well.
as much as I
Wait,
could
how
into
much?
the filter, but it wasn't
Yep,
even
no,
close to fitting
that's not
everything.
gonna go well.
I was only able to
Because
add
we're still
what
like
looked like
at
half
11
of it,
minutes
and I was gonna have to do this in 2
out
batches.
of
After loading up as much as I
30.
could, I turned on the vacuum, and I started pulling out the water. This was all being drained into a flask below the filter, and I was getting some nice and clear, dark liquid. When the stuff in the filter looked dry, I added some water. I then mixed it around, and I was doing this to wash out any sugar that might have been stuck in the calcium sulfate.
Ew.
This was then all pulled through, and I washed it a second time. Now,
Ah,
I
God,
had
my
to deal
hand.
with the
Ah,
other half of
alien
the
hand
job.
syndrome.
So I washed the filter, and I added everything that was left in the beaker. It was all just barely able to fit, and I turned on the vacuum. Just like before, I pulled it all through, and I washed it twice with some water. In the flask below, I was left with a bunch of dark liquid. This was all hopefully some dirty sugar water, but up until now, I had no idea if I had actually made any sugar. To figure
He
this
made
out, though, it
Pepsi.
was actually pretty easy, and I just had to use a glucose test strip. This is normally used to check for sugar in pee, and I was a bit worried that it would tell me that there was nothing. However, it actually gave me some really good results. It told me that there was for sure glucose in there, and that there was probably a decent amount. The only problem was that it was still full of impurities, side products, and leftover acid, and what I had to do next was try and clean it up a bit. To do this, I figured the easiest way was to
Motherfucker's
use something called the
gonna make
mixed
some
ion
cut
exchange
candy
resin. At first, this might sound a bit fancy,
out of
and
that.
it kind of is, but it's actually super simple to use. It's also commonly used to purify aquarium water, so it's pretty cheap and quite easy to buy. I got all my resin from Amazon, and all I did was put it in this plastic tube.
Yep, that's where
Now
you're supposed to
clean
put
the
it.
dirty sugar solution, I just had to pour it through. As it
It's
passed
also
through the
how
resin,
you
it filled
filter
up
or
anything
pull.
that was charged, and this included things like acid
Sometimes.
and
Depends
salts.
on the way it's built.
The sugar itself, though, was a neutral molecule, and it shouldn't have been affected by it. It even got rid of some of the color, and after just one run, it was looking a lot lighter. I then swapped out the beaker for another container.
Congratulations, you're about to
and I
make clear
passed it all
Pepsi.
through again. I was doing this just to really make sure. that
Also,
I
dear
pulled
God,
out
why
as
did you
much
make
gunk
clear
as
Pepsi?
possible. When it was done, I washed the resin with some extra water, and at
Is
this
it?
point,
Again?
should have been relatively pure.
Why do they
Besides
keep
the
trying to make it a
orange
thing?
color, there should have been practically no salts or acid. However,
Oh,
what
no,
made it
it's not.
now was that there was still way too much water, and I had to get rid of most of it. So, after pouring it all into this large dish, I threw it into a food dehydrator. This is normally meant for things like peppers or fruit, and it's basically just a warm box with a fan. I then
Or
ran
dead
it until I
animals.
felt that it was low enough, which ended up taking about 35 hours. After that, I took it out, and I poured it all into a beaker.
Dead animal meat from one of them is really good. It's called What My Father Is for Abandoning Me. Jerky.
It was just slightly over 400 mils, and now that it was more concentrated, it was a bit darker. It was also slightly acidic, and it had a bit of a weird smell. This unfortunately meant that I had to go back to the ion exchange.
What is, crap. Ways to describe a politician's genitals for 500, Alex?
Resin. This time, though, I did it in a different tube that I made from a water bottle. This one had a valve at the bottom that I could close, so everything wouldn't pass through right away. I also
Oh,
included
wow.
a
That's
bunch of activated charcoal.
That's
along with
scandalous.
resin, which I was hoping would help with the smell and color. After everything was added, I stirred it around, and then I let it sit there. I wasn't sure how long I had to leave it, and based on almost nothing, I decided that 5 hours was probably good.
Yep, that's a
Over
good
that
arbitrary
time,
number
I
to
just
pick.
randomly stirred it every so often, and it did get noticeably lighter. When it hit the 5-hour mark, I opened the valve, and I drained everything out. I washed everything with a bit of extra water, and it was now hopefully cleaner. The only thing that I didn't like was that it looked a bit cloudy. To fix this, I tried pouring it through some cotton and sea light, but
I hope he changed the resin every time he washed that, because those, I think they come clear and they get dark as they, or is it vice versa? I don't remember. Crap. Either way, I think they're supposed to be clear at some
I
point.
don't think that did much of anything. In any case, what I had now was still way better, and it no longer had a weird smell. It basically just smelled like water, and it also wasn't acidic. The only issue was that there was still way too much water, so I put it back into the dehydrator. I then ran it until it looked like it was almost all gone.
Oh,
When I felt that
jeez.
it was done, I pulled it out, and I put it into an even smaller container. This one was made of silicone, and if I had made any sugar, I was hoping that it wouldn't stick to
It's
it.
also what boobies
After
are made
that,
of.
I put it back in, and I ran it until it looked like the volume stayed constant. When it eventually looked like it was done, I took it out.
As you should.
I was really hoping to see some nice and crunchy sugar, but that of course wasn't the case. Only this part in the corner kind of looked like it was solid. I thought that maybe it was just having a hard time crystallizing.
Just some
so I
boobies.
covered
No.
it, and I put it in the freezer for a
No
couple
boobie
days.
is equal, but all are
When I
equal.
took it out, I thought that it was looking really promising.
Every boobie is different. They have their own personality.
However, it wasn't. It was all goopy and honestly a bit disappointing, but I was still kind of
That's
happy.
what my dad
Even though it
used to
wasn't
describe
nice
me.
and crunchy, the
Oh, it looks like
texture more or
earwax.
less confirmed that it was sugar. There weren't
Ah.
very many other things that I could have made here. That
Or
would
like-
be
or like
sticky
that
and gooey
symbiote.
like this.
Venom,
I wasn't exactly sure why it wasn't completely solid.
except the
but I
wrong
figured It
color.
was probably because I just didn't dry it enough. There was still some water in there, making it all sticky, and unfortunately, I had to get it out. If I tried putting this into a cotton candy
Sticky,
machine,
icky,
it would be an
sucralose.
absolute
Do,
mess.
do, 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 do,
To dry
do.
it, I put together this little setup, which is just an upside-down tray on a hot plate with a baking sheet on top. I then scraped off all the sugar, which totally stuck to the
It's like
silicone,
a,
and
it's like a lollipop for weird scientists.
I transferred it all here. I slowly turned up the heating, and I brought it up to just above 100°C to boil off the water.
Oh
I
my.
let it bubble like this for a while, and after several minutes, it was probably pretty dry. I still wasn't done though, because even with it dry, I knew that it still wouldn't work to make cotton candy. This was because I had already done a few basic tests using pure glucose, and it had completely failed. I had no idea why, but it only seemed to work when the glucose was partially caramelized. So,
Ew.
I slowly raised the temperature of the hot plate, and I brought it up to 185°C. Under this high heat, the sugar was hopefully caramelizing, which actually meant that it was repolymerizing. This was basically the exact opposite of what I did to make the sugar, and I was rebuilding them back into slightly longer chains. It would still be edible though, and it would never go back to being like cotton. My only issue here was that I had no idea how long I had to heat it for, and I was also really afraid of burning it. I ended up letting it go until I felt that it looked good, which took about an hour. I then pulled it off the hot plate, and I waited for it to cool down to room temperature.
Does look very caramely.
After half an hour, it looked exactly
Caramel
the same,
or caramel?
and for a second, I thought that it was still all goopy.
I think it's
When I
caramel.
looked at it though, it was completely solid, and it also looked and felt like candy. I was pretty happy with how it had turned out, and it was a lot more sugar than I needed. It was also a lot more than I ever expected to get, especially after my failures with the enzyme. However, the yield was
I was gonna make a strip club joke because he mentioned candy, but I'm. Yeah, that's too much mental gymnastics for me right now.
technically kind of crappy, and I only got about 20 grams. In theory, I probably should have gotten at least 50. This meant that I had lost a lot along the way, and I honestly have no idea where it went. I'm thinking that a lot of it might have
Because
gotten trapped in the exchange resin,
the
or
real
all
sugar was
calcium
in your
sulfate.
heart
Or maybe, in general,
the whole
the
time.
process just wasn't super efficient. Either way, I never expected this process to be amazing, and 20 grams was more than enough. I was also honestly still kind of amazed that I'd even managed to get any sugar at all.
It's like
Even though
old
I had
people
done this all
candy.
myself, I still thought that it was hard to believe.
It's been in a bowl
that
for like
this
50
used to be
years.
A bag of cotton balls. One thing though was that I still wasn't 100% sure that this was sugar.
Diabetes.
I mean, I had tested it with a glucose strip, but I felt that there was only one way to fully confirm it. Up
Diabetes.
until now, I had completely resisted tasting it, and I was really.
Oh man,
anxious
I
to
mean,
try
I
it.
need to make
If there
a
was
lens
anything else
flare
in there,
effect for
it would
my
probably
eyes.
taste really bad or sour, and I was honestly kind of expecting
Diabetes.
that to happen.
These are my testing
Okay,
supplies.
so I guess I'll just taste some of the little pieces. I mean,
Tastes like
it's
crack.
pretty good. It's just caramelized sugar. That's it. That's my whole review. Done. Okay, so it was actually a lot better than I expected, and it didn't even have a hint of a weird flavor. But
Old people
anyway, I
candy
guess
label
it was
on
now
it.
time to try and turn it into cotton candy.
Oh no, you're gonna do
Yes, I
that?
figured that
Okay.
all I needed was a cotton candy machine, and I bought one from Amazon. Now, in theory, based on the instructions, all I had to do was wait for it to heat up.
That's the best product
in my
name
sugar.
ever.
So I waited for about 5 or 10 minutes, and I nervously took out my precious little pieces. I then dropped some in, and I turned on the
Precious little
spinner.
pieces.
I was
That's
really
what I
hoping
call
to
my
see
testicles.
some nice puffs of cotton
They're my
candy,
precious little
but
pieces.
that didn't happen. All it did was shoot out a sad brown liquid. When I saw this, I was honestly pretty disappointed, and I wasn't sure why it failed.
It just shot it all out. It just shot it out as liquid sugar. It just...
Cut.
Based on my small tests, I was really expecting it to just work. But then again, I'm not some sort of cotton candy master.
Cut. It didn't work. See, that's what I feared.
I ended up trying it a few more times, and it just never seemed to work. At first, I had no idea why it was failing like this, but I started thinking that the melting point of my candy was just too low. If that were the case, it might just be having a hard time freezing as it flew through the air.
How are you gonna get that
Machine was
off the
designed for
sides
table
now?
Sugar, or sucrose, which melts at 186 C, but glucose melts around 146 C.
That stuff is permanently
and my
attached to
sugar was
that
probably
candy
even
machine
lower.
now.
I was hoping that this would have been fixed by caramelizing it, but I guess I didn't caramelize it enough.
Maybe,
That's
I
what
think
you
it's
get.
supposed to be more caramelized.
So, I scraped off all the sugar from my sad and failed attempts.
Oh,
and I
he
put
got it
into the
off.
silicone baking
I'm actually very
I then
surprised
heated
over
it
that.
up again to about 200 C. I had no idea how long I had to cook it for, and again,
See,
I was a
and what he just did is how you can turn cotton candy into a lollipop.
bit afraid of burning it. Over 20 minutes, it darkened a bit more, and when I eventually felt that it was good, I took it off the heat. I then let it cool down like before, and I broke it into a bunch of smaller pieces.
Old people candy.
Okay, so I was now ready to try again, and I was kind of expecting the same results. In theory, the caramelization should have fixed things, but I was a bit scared.
That's cheap ass, broken ass, ghetto. Werther's original. That's what it is.
Because if it didn't, I was kind of out of ideas. There was only one way to find out, though, and I dropped some pieces into the machine.
This is going to fail
I then
brilliantly.
turned it on, and now I just had to wait. In the meantime, I got ready by climbing up on my little ladder. It was a little awkward, but I found that reaching over the camera was the only decent way to film this. I was half expecting it to almost immediately just shoot out as goo again, but that didn't seem to be happening. In fact, it didn't seem to be doing much of anything.
Way to go. You broke cotton candy.
It's taking a lot longer.
I kept waiting, and I was a bit worried that it would just burn or something, but then there was suddenly a bunch of nice fluff. I then quickly used the stick and
Oh,
I started
shit.
collecting it, and it was actually working. The first thing that I noticed, though, was that it looked a lot thicker than regular cotton candy. I mean, it was all yellow, and the machine sounded like it was dying, but it was still pretty exciting. When it eventually looked like it wasn't making anymore, I turned off the machine.
Oh,
Okay.
my God.
Okay, so apparently it had worked, and even though it was probably the saddest and most pathetic cotton candy I'd ever seen,
Yep, it
I was
is.
still really happy with it. I also really wanted to know how
It looks like
tasted.
it looks like a peen. It's a cloud of peen.
I mean, it tastes like regular.
Oh wow. It would be so much easier to make cotton into cotton candy just by dumping cotton into sugar water and accepting that you don't deserve nice things in life.
Regular cotton candy, just a lot more burnt. It's not bad, but it's also not good.
The only major issue with it besides looking and tasting like industrial grade cotton candy, was that it didn't last
Industrial
very long.
grade cotton
Even though
candy.
it was able to solidify, it seemed like it wanted to melt. In just a few minutes, it had shrank quite a bit, and it had gotten a lot harder.
All the work, all of my work to get this.
Before it completely died, though, I broke off a piece of it, and I compared it to a cotton ball. In my opinion, they were shockingly similar, and the cotton candy kind of just looked like a really used and dirty one. But anyway, in the end, I guess I was successful at turning cotton balls into cotton candy. I mean, it wasn't the most efficient transformation, and the quality wasn't exactly the best, but it was still a lot better than I expected, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. For now, though, I think
Agane
I'm done
no
messing around
Nile
with
Red.
sugar, and I'm gonna focus on some other projects, like turning
He is
plastic
truly
gloves into hot sauce.
an alchemist of the highest
Okay,
caliber.
So now is when I would normally have a sponsorship, but I've decided not to have one for this video. Instead, I want to take the time to announce that I'm finally selling t-shirts again. The first shirt is the original design that I sold years ago, and there have been a lot of people wondering where it went. The other one is a new design, and personally, I like how it's nice and discreet. Right now, these shirts will only be available for 2 weeks.
Why don't you take the Nile Red and you keep it there, and then you put that on the back?
And I'm not sure if or when they'll be
That's
available
what I would
again. So, if you want to pick one up, or just support the channel, there's a link in the description. My goal in general with this is to be more self-sustaining and to not rely on sponsorships anymore.
Because that's not how you make pot roast. Everybody knows you take marijuana and you put it in with the turkey and you've got wait. In with the beef and then you have pot roast. Dude, that's how you make it? That's nasty, Peter. I can't do his voice very well.
But I guess I'll have to see how this goes.
Hey Lois, pull my finger.
As usual, a big thanks goes out to all my supporters on Patreon. Everyone who supports me can see all my new videos at least 24 hours before I post them to YouTube.
Wow.
You'll also get access to all the older videos that I had to
wow.
take down. And if you
The
support
mental
me with $5 or
gymnastics
more,
required for
you'll
that
get your
joke.
name at the end like you see here.
That's Olympic level. I'm gonna start calling things Olympic because they require, you know, mental gymnastics of the highest caliber. I coined a phrase. It's mine. You can't have it. Put it in my underwear. No one goes there. The cobwebs are proof. Yeah, that guy's channel, like, I know it's weird that I watch that shit, but I love it. Let's see, where's the other channel that I watch a lot? He makes a video once a week and it's usually really good. I haven't touched it ever again, thanks. Okay, I will never talk about my body parts again. Except I will. Where's it at? I was just watching it earlier today. Ah, there we go. Roanoke Gaming. I don't want to do the one that he just put out. I want to put one up that's like so far back, not many people have probably seen it, or like everyone who's going to watch it already watched it. Shoot. I want to do a shorter one too. That might be good.
With Raccoon City becoming an entire cluster of absolute insanity, seeing as every BOW in existence and T-Virus as well as G-Virus were basically being dropped left, right, and center, it would seem that largely it became a playground for Umbrella USA as well as Umbrella Europe to test out their experiments. These experiments were intentional, such as the deployment of Mr. X and Nemesis. Others, such as the Hunters, were somewhat intentional, whereas the Gammas were failed experiments. Even the standard infected...
Yeah, they look like a failed experiment. They look like those coitals? Coitus? Zoidals? Shit. Those things that you have to inject something into them for them to hit their adult form. Like, they're literally nature's Pokemon. You have to give it a stone. Or I think it's like what do they have in thermometers? Can't brain. Shoot, you're not supposed to put it on your face. Egyptians used it. See, I can remember like the facts around it, but I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, yeah, you have to inject them with a certain like metal or something so they can hit their adult form.
He studied. However, with so much going on and infecting, apart from civilians caught in the cross...
Yeah, it looked like someone injected it too much with that, and it came out like as a gamma. That's how you get a gamma. T-virus and whatever that thing is, I can't remember.
Everything seemed to be purposefully done, and that is the exact creature we will be covering today. Largely further downstream from an intentional release, these creatures, known as Drain Demos, would take over a power plant for the immediate area and then begin building a nest. This infection would seem to suggest that an ecosystem could be born outside of the T-virus exposure completely on its own. So in today's episode, we will discuss these creatures as where they come from and why their physiology presents the way it is. So let's get to it. As you move your way through the burning ruins of Raccoon City,
I love these videos. Like, something about understanding like alien or like monster biology is just really interesting to me.
Currently besieged by monsters and infected, you outrun Nemesis and then finally make your way down into the subway. After following Carlos down to the platform,
Eat flesh. Sorry.
You find out that there are actually survivors down there, and there's a plan to take the train out of the
Subway.
city before it's turned to ashes.
Eat flesh.
You're sent back up to the surface, where you make your way through the city streets. Entering the train control station, it becomes quite clear things aren't powered the way they should be. Someone or something has knocked it out, and without the ability to get it back on, there is no hope for getting any of the civilians out. Putting out the fire on the side of the building, Jill heads towards the power plant responsible for keeping the train station functional.
What is that? Wait, what was causing that fire? It should have put itself out, because there's like literally nothing to burn there. Especially since it looked like the side of that building was brick.
While there, she begins to understand what exactly is going on and why it's absolutely horrifying. Looking out the window on the top floor, the lines, transformers, really any structure out there is covered with nothing but a mass of hive-looking material. Presumably, this is what is knocking out the power for literally the entire area, and luckily for Jill, power...
It looks like that stuff Niall Red made. But it's not candy.
Pylons must be reset manually.
Oh no, if I were her, I would lick it. Just to be sure. It might be delicious.
from within the hive material. Descending the stairs, Jill happens across a person who likely tried to complete the same task Jill now finds herself trying to complete. This person is not so much infected as they are actually just blown open. Finding their note, they state that these creatures jumped them and then slammed something down their throat. Their stomach started to hurt really bad shortly after that, and they mention how green herbs appear to counteract the parasite, and as a result could be used to counteract these creatures entirely and cause you to puke them
We
up.
know what the
If you
green
run
herb
out,
is,
you're
don't
just
we,
entirely
Mom?
screwed.
Mom.
Looking at these insects, it's
Yeah,
clear that they
Mom.
have some relation to animals, and their creation is completely and easily explainable. But before getting there, let's first talk about their morphology, as it'll give us a pretty clear idea as to why they've changed
Starting
to this
at the
form
feet.
versus where they initially come from.
Do it.
Starting with the multiple feet, we can see that this creature is what is known as a
He said
hexapod,
it.
meaning that it has 6 legs and 6 feet.
It's like waiting for Mudahar to say, at the end of the day, halfway through the video, and then it just keep going.
Or specifically, in most insects' case, 6 toes. Interestingly, they're actually called pseudo-arachnids, if you didn't know. Basically, the insects that I really dislike are the ones with all the legs, so this is fantastic. On the fore and hind limbs in particular, this creature possesses a large, sharp talon that is able to help it traverse in its environment. The mid limbs have a longer scythe-like appendage used for slashing and also self-defense of the environment, but
See, that's what Scyther would look like in real life, and well, we can't have Pokemon because it would come out horrifying and nasty like this thing.
it can also be used to grasp onto
Because that's our reality.
prey for other
This is the dark timeline.
nefarious means, such as implanting its young, which has likely inspired many an online video, disturbingly. Moving further up the forelimbs, we see that, interestingly, this creature is no longer just hydraulic pressure that insects are usually known for, which, if you didn't know, insects actually move their body by differences in pressure in their segmented pieces. They don't actually have anything that's pulling on the limb itself. But with this particular creature, it has now grown muscle. And considering the T-virus is born out of tampering with a virus utilizing human genes, this has unsurprisingly spread to this creature. The muscle tissue appears to be about roughly the same size as a human forearm, but much likely stronger. Moving further down the forelimb, we see that this creature still has a tough carapace in place, but it's likely, instead of fluids making it move at
It looks like toothpicks are sticking out of it. I wonder if it's muscle meat tastes like crab legs.
as we have just discussed, muscle is now located underneath this carapace.
We can cut it up and make hors d'oeuvres.
Where the forearms attached to the main body is a combination of muscle
I used to think you pronounce that Hors d'Ivoires or something. I forget what it was, but I was like dumb and living in southwestern Virginia, and our school was like not the brightest.
and exoskeleton as well. Moving to the mid limbs, this creature likely relies on the sharpness of the scythe as opposed to the strength needed in the legs, because what we see with the mid limbs is that they're actually smaller than those of the front and back limbs. But this is shown that you can see there is a continuation
that
of the
neck.
exoskeleton without all the added extra muscle.
Look at his neck meats. Anthony Bourdain, this is something he would have
Still, however, it is more than likely that this muscle does exist
been like, this is the nastiest shit I've ever put in my mouth.
and really isn't just likely, because it is. You can actually see it if you look carefully. The scythe themselves are a minimum of about 12 inches in length, or about 0.3 meters. Multiple jagged points at the top have formed on
I want to eat its bug hump. Look at that. That's some good eating there.
either side. The hind limbs are much like the front limbs in that the muscle located here has been increased. Again, considering these creatures are hanging upside down and moving quite quickly, accompanied with a cancerous level of growth, the added muscle tissue is quite necessary. On the toes specifically, another jagged talon juts off, likely to help stabilize their grasp on prey. Further up the leg, we see that the exoskeleton does appear to be a bit beefier, likely to protect the creature from the back, and considering it is a multi-jointed leg, this would be quite necessary, because if one of those joints breaks, the entire leg could become useless.
Sudden
Moving around the
evolution of a
mid-body this
creature is
the
kind
stomach
of horrific.
appears with a section of many yellow half orbs on their abdomen. We will discuss what this is and why this is the case, but moving around to the back of this creature, we see a thick green exoskeleton plating. This plating would likely protect the creature from any sort of melee weapon, making an average human incredibly easy prey for these beasts. On top
Get
of
away
this
from
armor
him.
is many
His
spikes,
stomach's
that
gonna
extends
burst.
the armor itself and sharp, and this would make it very difficult for anyone to grapple with it without injuring themselves. Or
Wait,
even
what did
jump
you
on it.
do? What did you do? What in God's name? Dude, that looks fun as hell. Like, if you had a parachute on, like, as long as, like, the tornado died down eventually, or you're thrown so far away that you had to just, you know, you were out of its reach. And it's just keeping him there instead of throwing him like it's supposed to. Wow. Look at all the debris being thrown around. Debris. Bologna. What is that round thing? Is this just 22 minutes of this man spinning? God. Okay, that's it. Is enough of that.
In an attempt to scuffle with it up close. Moving to the head of the creature, it is just flat out ugly. The head appears to have lost any of the structuring at this point, and instead, a giant gaping maw with many tentacles along with something known as a ovipositor is used to jam down the throats of humans that it has taken a hold of. Speaking of giant tentacle, the main tentacle is used to
Speaking of
humans and
ovipositor,
is quite muscular and possesses a central tube. This tube runs from the center of the creature where it has stored
Bad Dragon. I think it's Bad Dragon. They make a pleasing device. It's a model of an ovipositor, and it actually squirts little eggs out. It's so freaky. Back massage or what? What a back massage. Body massage machine, go! Body massage.
its unfertilized young, which is presumably within those yellow orbs, and then injects it straight into the stomach of unsuspecting prey. So getting a good look at this creature, it's clear to see that this thing likely evolved from insects, seeing as it definitely possesses a carapace and structuring of its body is exceedingly similar. No lab created this infectious beast, and instead it is simply a byproduct of unchecked capability of the T-virus. So seeing as it has
This is what happens when the monster from crap. What's that? Something field. I gotta look this up now. Cloverfield. Wow, that actually works. I typed in something field monster and it gave me Cloverfield. That's GG, Google.
6 legs.
It looks like the crabs, like in the lower areas for the Cloverfield monster.
Prey. What is it? Well, it's clear that this particular insect is known as a hematophagus insect or a blood-sucking insect. Usually when you hear about blood-sucking insects,
Yep, it's
pretty
crabs.
difficult for your mind to instantly jump to mosquitoes, but I would have to say this one is definitely not a mosquito. With the ability to live in a colony-like structure, seeking out blood, and the structuring of its body even being heavily
I bet it's a bed bug.
influenced by the T-virus, I would have to say it's actually just a common flea, believe it or not.
Oh. That makes sense, especially if the dogs were infected when this little guy, decided to get some lunch.
It is stated that this creature has molted quite a bit, and as a result, in a lot of areas of its exoskeleton, it has been twisted and changed, much like any of the other infected that we see. This has given us the Demos that we see here. Interestingly, the first iteration of this creature actually preferred the cerebral spinal fluid of humans and would consume it at an unchecked rate. In the original RE3, this would obviously induce massive trauma to the spinal cord and a complete collapsing of the brain after all the fluid was drained, which in turn would lead to brain damage and eventual end for the host. However, with the remake, these creatures appear to be really in a reproduction cycle, so it appears much less interested in the CSF than in the original, and really would just like to impregnate humans. Gross. But instead, these particular fleas are completely female, being
Better
all
find that
females,
green
meaning
herb
they
and
are
smoke it.
asexual as well, and need a host in order to fully grow their young. Due to the T-virus
Oh,
ability
is this
to
gonna
interact with
pop out of
humans
you
quite
like
effectively, this means that the flea's young, after being injected
an
into the
all-natural
abdomen of a person, and upon
cesarean?
coming into contact with the body of a human, this may mean that it's actually borrowing cellular DNA from that person to incorporate in its own incomplete genetic coding of their body. As a result, they grow quite quickly within humans, and when we see things like muscle and ligaments, which are formed within the mutant flea population as a result, it's pretty clear to see that there is some other genetic variants going on here. Their bodies are also fairly grotesque looking, as because they would continue to molt over and over again at a much faster rate due to
I think the reason it has like a human skull there is because, okay, let's say zombie shambles, dog eats zombie, or attacks zombie, dog becomes zombie. It mutates, flea eats dog, or zombie dog, and then flea has two sets of DNA along with its own.
to the large, roughly dog-sized creature they end up becoming, I would have to say that this particular growth rate actually stems from the human genome as opposed to the flea genome. And this would also have the implications of increasing metabolism to keep up with the demands of growth. So before getting to how this thing takes you out, how exactly did it come to be where it is? Well, it's clear to me that whether we like it or not, most of us live with parasites. It's just the name of the game on planet Earth. And in this case, likely someone was living with fleas, which is really not too far-fetched. But an even more clear
That's not a good thing to call
would
people.
likely be a dog. Considering we see dogs throughout Raccoon City, it would really explain
Oh,
where this
Jesus
is from.
Christ, that
said,
dog.
The species origin is kind of
He's a
irrelevant. The
beefy
flea
boy.
came into
He's
contact with tainted
best
blood
boy.
At some point where the infection began to alter it.
Good
Now,
boy.
There may even still be fleas on infected, and it is said that the shambling masses that are out there right now can still be infected by the Demos. But after the fleas of that colony, along with
Wait. Let me go back. What's that?
Considering we see dogs
Hey,
throughout
friend.
Raccoon City, it would
I
really explain where
smell
these things come from.
bacon.
That said, the species origin is kind of irrelevant. The flea came into contact with
Okay, I'm done.
still be fleas on infected, and it is said that the shambling masses that are out there right now can still be infected by the Demos. But after the fleas of that colony, along with likely other colonies, grew to considerable size, they became large enough to continue on the infection process. Typically, fleas do lay eggs on animals that will then hatch. However, fleas naturally do not reproduce asexually and instead require a male and a female to mate. Most times, multiple males are needed to reach full fertilization status.
Oh,
However,
jeez.
with that said, female fleas can lay unfertilized eggs at the same time if they have not mated, meaning that regardless, eggs do come out.
Those poor
The
fleas
Demos, because it's
can't
an
have a
all-female colony,
monogamous
likely the
relationship.
unfertilized egg capability became a mutation. This mutation was then supplemented with a type of bonding agent, which was the T-virus, as it is known to do this with things like reptilian and human DNA to create the
Yeah.
hunters. This allows them, as stated
That's exactly
before,
what I
to
just
use the
said.
DNA found in the stomach and intestines of this person to bridge the gap from unfertilized to fertilized young. And this brings us to how this creature takes you out. Ever had acid reflux before? Well, this is way worse. After the creature jams its ovipositor down your throat, the eggs are implanted into your stomach. Once there, they begin to fester.
Those folds are actually a lot bigger in your stomach. They're covered with mucus to keep acid from dissolving your own stomach. And your food just moves back and forth in there until it's like it goes whooshing out the other end.
faster and mutate as well as grow. Growing being the painful part. Upon growing large
I
enough,
love
this will induce
medical
tremendous
stuff.
pain in the abdomen of the host. However, the growth will continue.
Just
Once
not my
reaching a
own.
viable size, the creature will then burst from the abdomen, causing massive internal bleeding and shock, which will result in expiration of the host quite quickly. What I do find interesting apart from all of this, however, is the addition of green herb will cause these creatures to become agitated enough that the host can then vomit them up safely. This is strange, as it seems like the green herb may in some way impact the T-virus's ability to
I don't
bind
know.
to
After
the
I
resulting in
smoke some
fertilized
herbs,
eggs.
sometimes
Because
I
of
feel
this,
like
the body is
puking.
able to expel the unfertilized eggs before they can do damage. I'm thinking at like some point I'm gonna have
I
to
don't
do a
understand
video
how people
literally
can
just
smoke
covering
so
the
much.
from Resident
Christ.
Evil, because it's fairly interesting to see how they work concerning the progenitor
I do
virus
2
to really
hits and I'm
nothing but
crawling.
plant, or at least from the flowers. Nothing like a video about rival plants to get the
Seeing
blood pumping, huh? But anyways,
invisible
I wanna
deer
thank
and
you guys
fish.
for watching. Let me know if you enjoyed. If you did, leaving a like would be pretty bro of you, and sub.
That actually happened. I was working at a Ren fair, and when I was working there, I had to camp with the other people who work there. And during the week, we would do stuff like restore buildings and go through. I worked at a weapon shop. I like swords. But yeah. So during the week, we would like reorganize the swords and do our orders to the main company. But yeah, one night they gave me a blunt to smoke, and puff puff pass. That's what you're supposed to do. I did the puff puff and I passed, and all of a sudden, like, I get up to go to the bathroom and I can't move my legs, and I'm seeing like invisible deer, like shimmery invisible deer, and fishes floating through the air, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, I don't know, you're not supposed to see that shit. Like, I don't know what strain that was, but damn.
Subbing is a great way to stay up to date on when I post. I'll drop my Twitter, Discord, Patreon, and Roanoke Tales link in the description. Also, patrons, I mentioned this in another video, but I am bringing back the Minecraft server. I mean, it's time, so if you'd like to get on that, make sure you keep an eye on Patreon, because I'm going to be sending out, I think, the links for it. But I want to thank my patrons real quick. Huge shout out for the continued support of the astronauts Trey Windenall. It's not a spoon. And I also want to thank our scientists Skilt, as well as our residents Robert Plattner, James Wiley, and some...
I actually can't smoke that much. Because it affects me differently than it does most people. It's accompanied with nausea, so yeah, I actually don't smoke. Let's check the media thing. No deposits yet. That's fine. Oh, I love this guy's videos. Casual Geographic. Please don't copyright strike.
No, if disrespect were a sport, hippos would be Hall of Fame. Because a fetus hippo can treat...
Oh, he's using the thing I used. I think there's a clip of me organizing it. Let's see. I can get my mouse over to my laptop. Okay. This thing. It's actually really neat. So it filters your sound, with noise removal. I usually keep mine there. But it also, like, if you have a camera connected, which that camera isn't pointing at anything, so you won't see anything. it will cut out the background. It's super neat. Let's put that window back. Get everything organized on this. This window goes here, this window goes here.
Treat a grown crocodile as a chew toy and get away with it because they both know the croc won't do anything about it. Baby hippos will actually do this, will they'll groom and lick the tails of homicide in the form of a crocodile like a teething toddler. Baby hippos have no fear or respect for an animal that could probably one-shot them with those jaws. And that's because crocodiles might have a brain the size of a walnut, but even they're smart enough not to give a mother hippo a reason to catch a body. Because this is how that movie ends. So instead of turning the baby into past tense, the crocodile just has to sit there and take it. There's actually a reason hippos do this. I just don't know what it is. I've known about this since I was 7, but I never found out why they go out of their way to violate them like this. My best guess is that hippos like the taste of the salt on the crocodile's tail and they just help themselves. Either that or hippos are so disrespectful that they don't even acknowledge crocodile
butt.
But normally crocodiles and hippos will tolerate each other's existence. And sometimes crocodiles will sunbathe while riding on the backs of this African homicide horse. The crocs never get too out of line because again, this is the end game. Moral of this video, when your mama's big enough, you can get away with anything under the sun. At
That's
this
a
point,
deer
I'm not
hoof.
gonna apologize. You know what you signed up for. And if my eyes have to bear witness, I'm bringing everyone else down with me. Those are epinicium, but you probably heard them also be called fairy slippers. Those fairy slippers are a rubbery covering that goes over the hooves of a baby horse to protect its mother from the sharp edges while it's still inside.
Because
It's
a
like pair of house
hoof,
slippers that the baby horse wears.
a hoof is like hard, and I don't know if anyone's been trampled. I haven't, luckily. If you get like the contact with those hooves would rip the mom apart from the inside. So they grow this like kind of fatty cartilage like thing on their feet that you see there, so that when they're born they don't chop mommy up from the inside
Until it finally joins the outside. And if you've never seen this before, it's because as soon as the epinicium touches air, it starts to dry and fall off, especially once the foal starts walking. And sometimes the mother horse will pull the rubber boots off the baby with her teeth. And of course, none of it's painful for the foal, it's only painful to look at. After the first 24 hours, most of the horse feathers are already gone. It looks bad, but it's actually for a really good reason. Baby horses have to be able to stand and walk as soon as possible, since the smell of a horse being born can attract predators. But having fully formed hooves could put the mother in a pack if one of the sharp edges cuts her and causes internal bleeding. Moral of this video, this is what compromise looks like.
Why is there a tonberry there?
Don't worry, it's worse than you think. Now I could be wrong, I might be wrong, but if I had to guess, that is some type of eel, especially a snaggletooth snake eel. You can find this demonic fire hose in the Pacific Ocean. Apparently the biggest ones can grow to 3.5 feet.
Ah, Jesus, like a tonberry.
Designed to live at the bottom of the ocean, so when you bring them up to the surface,
F to
they become
snake.
deformed creations belonging to Satan. Which is probably why it looks like a possessed balloon animal, as a result of bloating after death. And with those needles for teeth, we can guess that it eats small fish, crustaceans, and maybe even squid, and those teeth keep the struggling prey from escaping. And if that acid trip of a rough draft is anything like the moray eel, then they have a second set of pharyngeal jaws in its throat to make sure whatever goes in doesn't come out. But having a
What day they're going to evolve to have like alien heads? Oh wow, that's a nice picture to get stuck on. Wow.
throat with a child lock does backfire when you choke yourself into an obituary. And I know I said snaggletooth before, but it could also be a fangtooth snake eel, especially since they're found deeper down. And as much as I genuinely love freaking y'all out, they're pretty much harmless and probably wouldn't bite you unless you did something to deserve it. So this thing's probably dead. But this is proof that nature has rough drafts and its trash bin is the bottom of the ocean.
There's some weird shit at the bottom of the ocean. It's actually what H.P. Lovecraft, a lot of his monsters, like the Elder Gods, were sea creature based, because sea creatures terrified him, and rightfully so, because the bottom of the sea is freaking terrifying.
You see these bones? You want to know what made these bones?
You want to know what the Little Mermaid really looked like? Because I do not. I do not want to know. Like, just imagine what reality is like down there. So, yeah. Although I bet the castle would still have a penis on it.
Bones? You don't want to know what made these bones. Because this graveyard was found in the nest of one of the most homicidal things in the Amazon. The harpy eagle is a paralysis demon with wings. Not only are they one of the largest murder tweeties in the
No,
world,
it's not.
they have
I
talons
know
that are
of
as big as the
paralysis
claws of a
demon.
grizzly bear. Harpies use those vice grips to crush the bones
Like
of their
when I
prey on
see
the way
one.
back to the nest. But there's one important thing about them that makes them a special type of menace. The worst thing about this eagle are those wings. Nature gave harpy eagles short wings, meaning not only can they fly through the jungle to catch prey,
There we go.
it means no name on the census is safe. Which is why this steroid hell pigeon has one of the most disrespectful
I'm coming
faces
for you,
out there.
Mudahar.
Just in this picture, you can see monkeys, sloths, armadillos, and lizards that never made it home because this Air Bundy caught him slipping. That is literally how they hunt. They'll sit in a tree for hours just waiting for a chance to activate someone's life insurance. Yeah, Buckbeak don't be playing. Because you said please, here's 5 things you might not know about this Black Air Force ferret. One of their main defenses involves flipping
Black
your anus
Air
inside out and
Force
assaulting your
ferret.
senses with the smell. Honey badgers are cousins with skunks and wolverines, and they smell just as ripe. Their reversible booty hole is so vile that it apparently stuns bees and stops them from attacking. Which brings us to number 2. Honey badgers are not immune to bee stings. They are resistant, so they probably would last longer than you, but if enough bees get on their dome, they could end up being a pack. But since these hood weasels don't value life, not even their own, sometimes they'll actually sit there and keep eating while
They just
actively
want
being
that
stung
honey,
by
man.
hundreds of bees. And because they are the way they are, sometimes they'll keep eating until they eventually get stung to death. Number 3, it's believed that cheetah cubs evolved
Honey's
to look like
good.
honey
That's
badgers
some
so they
good
could
shit.
avoid getting harassed by other animals. Meaning this African bush ferret is such a case that a predatory big cat has to impersonate them just to get more respect. Number 4, in some parts of central India, they're called a name that translates to grave badger because apparently the honey badger has a reputation for digging out human graves and eating the corpses. And number 5, honey badgers aren't real badgers. Those are true badgers, and the honey badger's all the way over there. So when you hear me call this a steroid felony weasel, I'm only half kidding.
Steroid fairly.
What, don't know they exist?
Sharks have no fucking clue that camels exist. And
Oh boy, do I have a story for you. So like fun fact, actually mildly disturbing fact, camels are one of those animals that have no business swimming but do it anyway, and they're unnecessarily good at it. And an animal whose home address is a desert being able to pull up on you in the ocean is one of the biggest
Yeah, because... Whoa,
you I do what I want
what was that?
moves from nature. There's a type of dromedary camel called an animal whose home address is a desert being able to pull up on you in the ocean is one of the biggest you I do what I want moves from nature. There's a type
Oh.
of dromedary
It was censoring him. Okay.
camel called Karai that are so comfortable with water that
Yeah, the camels have a large... Well, that hump is like mostly water and fat. So because the fat is less dense than water, it floats. So the camels are really good at swimming. And it's dumb because they're desert camels, you know?
they'll cross rivers and even shallow stretches of the ocean as they look for food.
Like, how did they evolve to do that?
And that's because these overgrown water donkeys love eating mangroves on islands offshore, so much that they'll travel for hours to get it. There's actually a pretty good chance that at least one shark has seen one of these sand-loving hump jockeys out in the ocean. He told his friends. They did not believe him. Moral of this video. If you're ever on a boat off the coast of a country like Algeria, you better be prepared to say what's up to a camel. This is a picture of an alligator riding on top of a manatee in Florida. I've already explained
Gotta
how
keep
gators are
swimming,
really aggressive
swimming,
manatees.
swimming.
Oftentimes,
I'm a
the same
camel.
reptile that would tear your arm completely off gives manatees the right of way in the water. But apparently these two hang out as friends. Kinda. There's a couple reasons why this might be happening. Alligators are cold-blooded, so they love chilling in sunny spots. And I guess they figured an aquatic breathing beanbag chair was as good as any rock or log, since manatees are basically the capybara of the water. Oh seriously, different animal, but same vibes. Either the manatee doesn't mind or he's simply too unbothered to care. To somehow make it even more wholesome, alligators and crocodiles often give each other piggyback rides. Don't really know
Aww.
why exactly they do this, but since it doesn't do anything
It's
for
like
them in terms of
it's
survival,
like that story
I
of
assume they
Frog
do it
and
just 'cause it's
Toad,
fun.
except with
Obviously,
homicide.
but there's a small chance that this is an alligator's way of playing with the manatee, and the manatee's just too unproblematic.
The
to
book
stop.
with Frog
Probably
and
the first
Toad.
thing, but for the sake of my mental health, I'm gonna go with the playing. Let me tell you why this bird is the biggest menace to society you've never heard of. This is a southern giant petrel. Its nickname is a stinker because they have the same up diet as vultures with none of the redeeming qualities. This dumpster tweety takes all kinds of meat, rotting, decaying, disease. It
Look at that head. If Murder Face could be a bird, this would be Murder Face. I'm not wrong.
They don't matter, they don't discriminate. And just like vultures, when this overgrown corpse pigeon finds a carcass, it starts eating it ass first. They also delete and eat penguin chicks, and they've even been known to drown gannet chicks by holding them underwater until their soul gets evicted. Basically performing a baptism and an abortion for the price of one. Also, the giant in her name is because the biggest ones can have a wingspan of nearly 7 feet, meaning you're probably shorter than the length of its wings. It's not even the worst thing about them. If the petrol thinks you're too close, it'll projectile vomit the contents of whatever disrespect was marinating in its garbage disposal of a stomach. As if getting sprayed with half-eaten seal wasn't enough, it's actually so acidic that it can eat at the waterproof coating of seabirds' feathers. Some of the seabirds that get hit can't swim. Since they have sea literally in their name, that's a dick move. Also, the red faces because they spend so much time violating the corpses of other animals. They're basically seagulls on crack. Those are the eyes of a bird that will never see heaven. Yeah, cheetahs aren't big cats, and you're right, I probably should have.
It's got murder face.
So when you talk about wild cats, you have two flavors of felines. You got the Panthera genus, and you got Team Feline. Now, the Panthera genus has lions, tigers, jaguars, leopards, and snow leopards, and they all have one thing in common, is that they can all roar. Except the snow leopard, but they're so cool they get in strictly off clout. And these are what people call big cats, but you'll probably notice there's two big names missing. And that's because mountain lions and cheetahs can't roar, so they don't qualify as big cats, meaning they belong to the second group of cats, which also includes ocelots, caracals, lynxes, and even the pet cat watching you watch this.
Lynxes are so cute.
Apparently, if you're a cheetah, you also chirp like a bird.
I love lynxes.
Also, the name big cat doesn't really refer to their size because the smallest big cat is outweighed by the biggest little cat. Basically, it comes down to if you can...
I want to get a pet lynx before it realizes it hates life, becomes an asshole. That's why lynxes are usually an asshole in the wild. Because like, life sucks.
Roar, you sit at the big cat lunch table. If you purr, you ride the little cat bus. And if you're a cheetah, you sit alone because honestly, what is this?
That dude is funny as hell. Okay. Yeah, we can emulate certain PS4 games now. Like, my system would probably do fairly well, but it still wouldn't play most commercial games. Give it a year, and it'll catch up. For now, it's beta. Like, you use if you have time to waste. Oh geez, this might be good.
Throw, swap, climb down and run. Throw! Yeah, throw. Oh yeah, baby! I mean, it seemed like it would be kind of fun. You ever just like see someone small and you just like want to, like a short person, and you just want to pick them up and like swing them around and then throw them over the mountain? It's only me. Gura, hey, listen.
Okay, Callie, I'm listening.
That was good. Oh, more body stuff. I love this stuff.
Do a quick internet search of the fattest or fattiest organ in...
Actually, no, that will probably end up with me getting a strike for sure. The Institute of Human Anatomy, though, that is some interesting shit. You learn so much about your body. Ah, crap. There was this guy who would 3D print fans for like you know, computers, and he would have people submit fans they've like designed, and he would just print them out, and whichever one, you know, had the best airflow won. I can't remember his channel name.
this one out. This one's kind of funny.
Oh, ow. Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
Callie, no! No!
Yeah. Yeah.
Callie.
Check me out. Check me out.
Alright, you know,
What's wrong?
Oh no.
Is this normal?
Being
Callie,
so
no.
small has made her brain weird. No, he's a Yukon Gold potato. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's one of the high quality ones, for sure.
Or if he went to the tanning salon.
She commented something about that on Twitter today. Or is it yesterday? I guess it's yesterday now for sure. But it was along the lines of it. She wasn't doing what you thought she was doing. She had an itch or something. And then what's his name? The guy who oh god, my head's spazzing out. The guy who accidentally live streamed himself, DSP. He like replied to her status or liked it, I forget. And it was funny as hell. Ugh. Like my dude.
Hold on.
Oh god. Whoa, I could react
Check this one out.
to her reacting. It's like,
Debut.
oh crap, what's it called?
Sorry for pausing. Oh god.
It's like a tesseract. Oh my god. Yeah, it's like a tesseract of reacting to reacting reactions.
Listen, look at Guru reacting to Guru reacting to Guru. This is my 6-month.
This is Noct reacting to Guru reacting to Guru reacting to Guru reacting. Great. This is the circle of life. This is how things were supposed to be.
Debut reaction. Anyway, funny. Yeah, look at you go. Oh.
Fuck, she made that noise that Iron Mouse makes. That like she just coughed up a lung or vomited up a lung. No, don't play that music.
Instead of a panty stealer, I'm
See, by that getting loud, it affected her stream, which affected my stream, and it shall affect the next stream. To react to me reacting. It's eternal.
Okay, jeez. Alright, Guru. I was gonna say, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. You think? I don't even have website, you know.
I envy them and their ability to play FPS games. Because I suck. Baby. Baby sideways penguin head.
Oh my goodness. Sissy. What level do you find the...
You mix
Très bien.
French and Japanese.
Oh, that's Nintendo music. Goodbye, world. Oh well, whatever.
Dude, she's like parkouring around there. Going so fast. Oh my god, I would have...
Forget. Take it out, this guy, 1v1.
I could not have done that.
What are you gonna do, bro?
Ah, damn. Wasted. it's not. I mean, it is New Year's. It's not
I had
easy.
a little bit of champagne in me when we did this. Just a little bit. Just a little tiny champagne glass. But apparently it was enough to make me,
Tipsy?
Outlast! NVUKS
That's the loudest scream.
Oh, good. Shut up. Not a word from any of you.
I seriously wonder if she's broadcasting from home or if HoloLive has their own like building that they record in. Because if she was doing this in an apartment complex, oh my god, the police would be coming there constantly because they'd think someone is getting murdered. She screams so loud.
I'm a baby. I'm only ranked 20. Goo goo gaga. Why are you in my game? You clearly know how to use the flashlight, mister. Quick question. Does your tail come off? Oh, who said that? Yeah. Lord, Dayo.
Oh no.
Asa cuckoo! How old are you? 4,295 years old. Wait, no, I'm 9,495 years old. No. I'm 9,000. I'm not that young. I'm 9,000. 9,485. And not a single soul believed it. My bad. Boomer? What do you mean, boomer? What's a boomer? What do you mean, boomer? What are SpaghettiOs? What? SpaghettiOs in the shape of an O that happen to be made out of spaghetti? I've never heard of such a what's a boomer? What could a boomer be? Oh, you internet cultured people, folks, you must know what a boomer is. I don't know what could boomer possibly be?
Okie dokie, boomer.
Call me out on that if I ever do it again. Say, girl, stop playing. Is that like what you guys call Marie? You call Sento? Wait, they kind of, remind us of ourselves. Are you saying I have little shark's disease?
Little shark's
What I wanted to
disease.
say was, are you calling me fat, small, and grouchy? You calling me fat? Brown? Yes. Alma Kayama. Me llamo Gura. Where's the cute mouse stream? Dude. Muy stupido. Is that cute?
Oh god, I have tried to learn other languages and I have fiber brain, so it doesn't work.
Yeah, screw this. We're using magic. Oh no. I want to do this on the left, and I'm going to do this on the right. Ahora estoy motivado. This on the right, and this on the left.
I took French classes in middle school because in New York they require it. Isn't it center? Oh, there it goes. And I got really good at it for a while. But then I started speaking in French in my English class and writing things in French in my English class. Not intentionally. I would just... It was like my brain was slipping to the other language. And I actually had to stop taking French because it was ruining my English class.
Oh god.
Oh, Gura's muted? What? Are you kidding me? Speak again, Gura.
Callie!
Oh my gosh, try it again.
Aww.
Oh my goodness, try one more time. Oh
Sorry
my
guys,
God.
I just saw this.
God have mercy on my soul. Hang on just a minute.
You can do it, Kelly. I know
Try
you can.
again. Oh my God, kill me. Alright, let's, just a minute. Okay, let's see. Try again, Gura. Oh my God, kill me.
Was she the cause of that, or was it on Gura's end?
Panic!
Oh my gosh. Keep talking, good. I'm trying every single device. I'm trying every single device. I'm trying every single device that I have. Every single one. You keep... let's see. How do you move in this game?
Hey,
Yeah,
Anya!
he fixed it.
Double color. But I think there's only one glaringly different between the. Oh, she got big old bitties. I don't. Oh no! Oh no! I'll go senpai. I'm sorry. Let's get that.
Oh no.
It's alright. You know what they say? Lightning doesn't.
Hoorah.
Shut your mouth, shark. No way he will look in this locker again. Shut your mouth, fish. Watch. I'm gonna be alright. And so begins. What did I tell ya?
Oh no. I like her singing streams. Duet she's doing with herself is has a good effect.
I'm trying to harmonize, it's not working. Just sing along.
Is this something people actually sing? I have never heard this. And I was in Boy Scouts. So I guess you sing it faster and faster and faster. The backup dancers. She's doing Callie proud. Oh god. God, her screaming is so loud.
Hey Sven, step on the pretty button. I like this. Buddy? Come on. I love these clips. This is fun messing with Sven. I want to do this in VR.
What is this? Is this Skyrim?
Todd Howard is great.
I've never played Skyrim. Ooh. You just got bitch slapped by a door.
It's so good. Look, it's the outfit. Yeah. I was trying to.
I love her cat shark out. Cat shard. Cat shark outfit.
Oh wow, that's pretty tie-hand, dude.
I've seen this one. I love this
That really
one.
sucks. Tie-hand means like rough. Like when people are like, oh, tie-hand this net, it's like, oh, that's rough. Huh?
Oh, I thought it was already 2 o'clock.
Yeah, like kind of shitty to deal with. You
Be
know?
in 10 minutes.
Sounds like another one.
Not tie-hand?
Holy shit! I've been streaming for 2 hours. Okay, that's good. I can finally end soon. I actually did a 2-hour stream. It started shitty, but then it got better.
Oh no! Okay, never mind. I hope this will. I thought this would. Okay, we're good. Don't worry about it.
Oops, sorry, I missed a shot. Sorry.
It's Hanjo's house!
Are you gonna go to that
House?
I don't know all the HoloLive characters. Is that supposed to? Is that Hachama?
Monhan! If this doesn't work, you guys are gonna look mighty silly. No, Gura, that's
It's not
you.
gonna work. I don't think it's gonna work.
Oh dear. You just created obsidian.
Oh no, I know how this ends.
And then you just create a whole bunch of obsidian.
Womp womp. 1987 to 1996. I was pretty young. Yeah. How old is that? 12.
People care about VTubers.
12. What is it not?
Have you seen Twitter?
It's 12.
There's like literally lists of thousands of us. There's a better chance of finding someone into VTubers than there is a compatible spleen donor.
Like, is there like an easier way?
Oh, it's 9? Oh, well, like pardon me.
Because I've been like going up and down. I remember going up and down this hill
2 by 2.
so many times just to put one block
2
of
by
water
2.
down.
It is not. It also, Hikari watches,
Oh god.
Watson.
How to make infinite water. Is there just like 2 by 2? Is this gonna be frustrating again for everybody?
Here it is.
This is 2 by 2, yeah?
Yes.
Or is this 2 by 2?
He is too.
Wait, no, that's 2 by 2. That's 2 by 2. I was wrong.
No. See, yeah, 2 by 2. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Oh no.
Did I do it? Yeah. No, it's not done.
It's not.
You gotta do the thing to cut down.
There you go.
Is this right?
Yes.
Oh, the way they edited it. I'm so good.
What? Meow.
Yeah. Oh my god.
It's.
Ow, my ears. Good.
Ew.
Is it?
Why is that pipe going from his crotch to his face?
And whatever other. Oh my god. Whatever other enchanting? I think I'm smart when it counts. But yeah. Just because I can't do math on stream, I mean, who cares, really? What's 9 by 9? 9 times 9 is 30.
Oh, for people who are interested, I noticed that I don't think their computers are that good. And I would love to be able to build each of them a computer like that actually have the specs they need, because they're using not RTX, GTX, yeah, GTX 1050s, and that is it's kind of low, or at least Kiara's computer was a GTX 1050. I think it was a TI, but still.
36. 36. 9 times 9 is 36. This is 2 by... Uh-oh. Listen, we can talk about this one, alright? No. No, good, I know it's not. Oh!
What is this site?
It might be a good. It might just be. All right, that's cyan.
Wanna hear some Chuck Norris?
No. If you spell Chuck Norris in Scrabble, you win forever. Is that a joke? Oh, what? That has to be one of the most cringe. I don't think I've recovered from that one yet. That was so long ago, but I still think it hurts me deep inside. Watson got me good with that one. This whole moment was painful. Anyway, whatever. I will continue to say my Chuck Norris jokes when they are appropriate. Good on me for trying to fill the dead air, okay?
Check back.
Kiwawa!
Oh, when she was teaching
I feel like that sounds
Gura
weird, 'cause anyone in the chat has a
German.
Okay, continue.
No.
This reminds me of when Callie was teaching. Crap, I forget who it was. Was that Hachama? I forget. She was teaching like this really cute voice character American curse words. And she was saying stuff like fuckboy and stuff and teaching her how to what those words mean.
What am I doing? Wait, what did you say? Fun fact, in Australia, we only have the
here it
grades
comes.
1 to 5, and in Germany, they have the grades 1 to 6.
Where's the rest of them? In my defense, listen, I suspended my brain power here, alright? I had emptied my brain and I was trying to think in German. I was ready to learn German, and then when she said 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 1, 2, 5, my brain registered that as numbers. Okay, we're thinking now about simple numbers. 1, 2, and 5, not 1 to 5. Okay? In
Oh.
my defense, thank you for coming.
It's 3, 4.
Whatever that was, made a mighty funny clip.
1 to 5? Good on. 3?
She didn't realize what she did.
Good on.
Alright.
Come here with me. Okay.
Muna-senpai, no?
Now
Wait,
we
why
will
is
hear a
smoke
strike
coming out of the water?
day.
What?
Punch me,
There's
daddy.
a misconception about sharks that we want to clear up. We want the people to have some what do you say? We want some
You can do
come
it.
on, help me, Gura. Help me out here. Sharks are so misunderstood, so we want some god damn it. We want to raise
Raise awareness.
I'll get to it. Oh my god, that's loud.
Crap, don't make eye contact. Oh no. Oh no.
Why does his head do that? Did I miss my stop? Whoa, what the Enderman doing?
horrified. I'm dying? Oh, no, it's not.
I'm happy to see a meme of the Benny Hill show.
think chat ratted me out. You guys, I waited too long though. My hand is shaking. Face mace. Here comes the shot. Bingo boingo.
Oh no, don't. Oh no.
Oi. I love the clip where somebody put SpongeBob music.
Watching heights in games gives me anxiety.
I can hear the sensor coming. Beep, 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 boop, boop. Could you? Beep, boop, boop, beep, boop.
What is that?
And she got away with it. Okay, she's gone now. I think we're good.
Where's she running from?
I came into this thinking, oh, I know. I'll start building like the HQ, you know? And then I logged into Minecraft and I found out that I was like 5,000 blocks away from everybody. And
That's so silent.
I don't want to leave here because I came all the way here, you know? But also, I'm all by myself out here. It's very much.
They have subtitles.
It gets like, hello, mushy.
I did a lot of work mainly on the nether path because I didn't want to just go back home and start, you know, building stuff like usual.
Are they in the
I
Nether?
felt bad 'cause good
That
old
looks
Lucy
like
left
Nether.
here all by herself, no way to get home. So
What
I
a
built
sweetie.
whole path.
She made a path in the nether? Did she?
She
She did on her day off? What? Why didn't you tell me? Everyone's more than happy to help.
Aww.
It took her 7 hours. Wamson's the best. Dedication.
7 hours.
I love this one. So this is her tie. I see.
Oh, so she's the one who put the dirt there. It was there for a long time.
Isn't it? That's what the movies say.
Oh no.
You guys know when Ame is streaming Minecraft? Okay.
Yabe.
That was an accident. That was an accident.
Yabe.
And then I left it there because it was funny. I want to do a song called. I feel like Amelia also sang. We may not be listening to this portion. Amelia also sang this, and if she didn't sing it, this song gives me. But even though we've listened to everything else so far, but I want Amelia to sing. I want Amelia to sing this. It just gives me Ame vibes, doesn't it? It's got Where's Virginia? Wherever it goes. I like Minecraft a lot more when I play with people. Also, Ame keeps me calm.
Aww.
Oh, you love me. Country road, take me home. Oh, the montage. Where I belong. Where's Virginia? Mountain Mama, take me home. My ceiling is leaking. I wasn't expecting it to leak from that, but oh well, that got me. All my memories gather round her. My nurse lady, yeah. Stranger to the water.
What? Oh, poor mouth.
Stupid.
Oh no. See, that is what a mer person would look like. Those things she did. That's why the bottom of the sea is so fucking scary. Okay, this is almost over.
Yeah. um.
Oh wow, it's weird seeing my video there. It's like being the guy who invented Velcro and like hear me out, hear me out. It's like being the guy who invented Velcro because all of a sudden you see all these people using so me being there is like what? Also it lies. I'm probably just there online. That's depressing. Okay, I've depressed myself. We're back to normal. Let's see. Top 10 organs to sell to buy a gaming PC. I feel like I've seen this video before and just didn't click it. The dark history of sea monkeys. Oh man, I don't know if I could get away with watching this. Daniel CC movie. And the deputy account too. He like recaps videos, but he uses a voice mod. Well, not mod, a computer generated voice. And he comes up with, like, if he wants to say, crap, I don't know if I can say it and get away with it. SEX. He says the hormone times and stuff like that. And they did not get to make the hormone times. Oh, okay. No, if oh, that's 4 hours? No, 5 hours. Christ. Iron Mouse, what the hell? What was she doing for 5 hours? What? That reminds me, I want to make my model, what's it compatible? VR chat compatible. Because I want to start doing VR chat since I have the stuff to do it. It'd probably be a good way to meet people other than Twitter too. Why is it doing 56 seconds?
Do you guys remember those 25 punishments that I told you I was gonna do? Well, I made the list, and I have 25 punishments ready.
Oh no.
We're gonna get to them very quick, very soon. Some of them this week. Some of them next week. Am I gonna tell you what they are? No. Am I gonna surprise you? Yes. Will they be punishments? Yes. I made sure that they are things that I possibly might not want to do or might not like doing. So, you're fucking welcome. A spanking is not included because I enjoy that, so you better stop that right now.
I suggested something for this, but I can't remember what it was.
Punishment. That is a privilege. That is a privilege and not a punishment.
Space tech wall is interesting, but yeah, I don't think many people would be interested in it, even though I'm trying to lure people to my chat with the promise of PC help. Like, I think the normal person just actually doesn't care about any of that. So I'm trying to keep things simple, where we like, oh, well, I can't say normal person stuff, but we talk about something other than computers, and then computers are like, hey, I need help with this thing, and then I help, and then, you know, that topic is over and done with, and, you know, we can go back to the fun stuff. Jeez. The people demand tornado. Well, the people shall... It's... Whoa. Did I just have a melt seizure? The people shall have what they want. This should just be my desktop. My mouth had a jack seizure. It's so weird, like, different parts of my body just decide to do their own thing for a second, and I have to fight to regain control. It's weird. And sometimes I actually forget what I'm talking about when it happens. Jesus Christ, Lancet. How did you... How did you stand this? You must have the patience of a saint. Oh, okay. So I praised you for no reason. I see how it is. You know, I'm wondering if there was two tornadoes spawned there, and then only one was actually visible, and you were getting thrown in between their
That's it for that vehicle, Javi.
winds. Because that's why you're going out so far. There's a second tornado, I think. Like the game was like, oops, accidentally spawned a tornado. Actually, accidentally tornadoed. Wait, no, I accidentally tornado. That's it. Accidentally a tornado. This is how I feel in life. This clip personifies the dread I feel daily of existing. Like something having great power over you, and you just tossing around and not able to do anything, and you go around and around and around, and it doesn't stop. And then suddenly you see What the hell was that even? Oh, wait, you're going down. Did you forget? Oh no. Your stream died. Yes, it is that. You have a logo? No, don't commercial me. Huh. No, you had a logo. School compute. Okay. Well, I'm using Windows 11, but on Windows 10 it's simpler. I mean, it's similar. There should just be the shutdown button here. Oh shit!